Hello there, and welcome to Banned Book Talk. My name is Colleen. I'm a Youth Services Librarian with the Corpus Christi Public Libraries, and this program is recommended for teens ages 12 and up. Now, the materials we discuss may not always be suitable for everyone, so some parental guidance is recommended, however, censorship is not. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive on into today's topic. Today, we're going to be discussing Something Happened in Our Town, a child's story about racial injustice by Marianne Celano, Marietta Collins, and Ann Hazzard, and illustrated by Zavoin. So as you can see, this is a children's picture book that is meant for children from the ages of 4 to 8. So it is a little bit of a break in what we've been doing the past couple of weeks, which have all been, actually, most of what we've done has been high school level reading chapter books. So a little bit different, but I still did want to give it its own video since it was number 6 on the list. Now the authors, Marianne Celano, Marietta Collins, and Ann Hazzard, all worked together for over 20 years at Emory University School of Medicine. They've since kind of gone into different paths, but clearly they've all stayed in touch to create this book. They primarily serve children and families with a focus on advocacy for behavioral health and social justice, and they utilize stories in group therapy sessions for children and teens to help them kind of understand and express their trauma. And they draw personal experiences from the big questions that their own children have had that they've tried to answer, that they've answered over the years. The illustrator, Zavoin, has a Bachelor of Arts from Indiana University. She was a graphic designer and creative director before she found her calling as a children's book illustrator and has since illustrated over 40 books. So Something Happened in Our Town was published in 2018 under Imagination Press, which is a conglomerate of the National Psychological Association. They produce the APA's children's books. It follows 2 families, one white and one black, as they discuss a police shooting of a black man in their community. The story aims to answer children's questions about such traumatic events and to help children identify and counter racial injustice in their own lives. It includes an extensive note to parents and caregivers with guidelines for discussing race and racism with children, with child-friendly definitions and sample dialogues, as well as some other resources that can come in handy for really any adult who might be trying to have these conversations with children, including teachers. And it was number 6 on our top 10 challenged books of 2020. It was challenged for divisive language and because it was thought to promote anti-police views. Now, nice thing about this being a chapter book is I was able to just easily read through it myself. I can say I'm not sure what people meant by divisive language because there's no specific reference to what language in the book they are considering divisive. I did not see anything in particular that I felt was divisive, but everyone reads and interprets things differently. So, can't really say on that one. As for the anti-police views, however, I can definitely tell you after reading through it a couple of times and reading through the notes at the back of the book a couple of times, it definitely is not anti-police. It is just trying to help parents have very difficult conversations with their children. So, the controversy. The first one that I found was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where it was recommended by both the Department of Health and the Department of Education as a tool to be used in the classroom. However, it was met with backlash. That recommendation was met with backlash from the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. The biggest controversy that I found came from Springfield, Vermont, where it was used in a remote lesson for third graders. Keep in mind, this book is recommended for the age range 4 to 8. So third graders do fall in that age range. They're actually right at the top, if not a little bit above that. So, however, one of the parents overheard the lesson and issued a formal complaint to the school board in form of a very strongly worded, very emotional email, and accused the book of being anti-cop and inappropriate for the age group. These concerns were, of course, brought to the school board, where it was later brought to light that the actual issue was the teacher's poor handling of the material. The teacher did not notify or invite the parents into the lesson or the conversation that they were going to be having with those children, and did not make use of the resources provided at the back of the book, which is always extremely important anytime you're dealing with really anything. You should always make sure to refer to your resources. And probably the worst thing they did, definitely the worst thing they did, was they singled out a student of color during the lesson, which you just never do as a teacher. That is the first thing that you learn really when you are going through training to be a teacher. I know because I've gone through it. You don't single out students for really anything if you can avoid it, unless they are particularly acting up and you have to ask them to sit down or to calm down. So, of course, though, since the initial complaint that came from the parents was about the book, it was the book that ended up suffering and being put under review. Couldn't find a whole lot of information about what the school was doing about the teacher's behavior, because that definitely needed to be addressed. And of course the parents came back claiming that it hadn't been their intention to ban the book, but nonetheless, when the initial complaint is against the book and not against the teacher's behavior and handling of the book, of course the book is the one that's going to get put under review. So, the next one that I found was Binghamton, New York, where it was the April book of the month at MacArthur Elementary School. It was showcased on their website with a link to a YouTube reading and with resources for the parents to have conversations with their kids. And it met criticism from both parents and the Binghamton Police Benevolent Association. And a 2-hour school board meeting was held so that everyone could come and express their opinions. All the parents could come and either show support or express their discontent with the use of the book on the website. So those are 3 case studies that I was able to find. There's a lot more details in the case studies that I didn't really want to go into because there's a lot of very emotional language in it, and I wanted to kind of keep this close to the facts, as close to the facts as I could get it. So unfortunately that means I had to leave some stuff out. If you want to check out the resources, you can do so by either copying down my sources, copying the links, and going to them, or you can even just Google "something happened in our town" bans, and these are some of the first 3 that pop up. So I do, because there is a note at the back of the book, and I like to be able to give you guys information directly from the authors. Want to read part of the note to parents and caregivers at the back of the book so that you guys can maybe understand the author's intention a little bit better, and maybe that will help you feel a little bit more comfortable in checking out this book, or if you see that this book is being used in your child's classroom. So, "Something Happened in Our Town" is designed to be read to children ages 4 to 8 and focus on bias and injustice against African Americans. Before reading this book to children, you may find it helpful to review the material in this note. This information can help you feel more prepared to address the topic of racial injustice with young children. While this book focuses on racial bias, and injustice against African Americans, the concepts are relevant to all children, including children from other ethnic minorities and children with multiracial identities. This book provides passages of empowerment and positive community support which help children to maintain a sense of balance and safety in our imperfect world. This book's message of acceptance can also be applied for other differences between people that children may encounter. In addition to bias based on race, children may confront stereotypes based on gender, disability, economic class, culture, family type, or other factors. There are many benefits of beginning to discuss racial bias and injustice with young children of all races and ethnicities. Hopefully, this book will help you begin one of many conversations about race and its bias that will occur naturally as your child tries to make sense of the interpersonal world. So, that's just part of the note to the parents and caregivers. So definitely, if you decide to check this book out, I encourage that you read the full note to parents and caregivers, and maybe even the definitions. Check out some of the resources before you read the book, so that if you have questions, or your child or someone younger than you has questions, as you're reading the book, you're able to answer those and discuss those. Remember that not everyone is going to like every book, but just because you don't like a book doesn't mean that no one else ever will. Likewise, not everyone's going to like your favorite book either. You don't have to like every book that you read, and you don't have to finish every book that you start. If you can't get through it, put it down and walk away. At least you gave it a try. But never deny someone their right to read and enjoy that material. If you want to check out this book, you can go to cctexas.com/library to access our online catalog, or you can check out Hoopla and Access 360, see if we have it there. Those are our two digital platforms. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube for more updates. Until the next time, bye.